channel, guys, into this terrain showcase video. In my last video I talked about this terrain set that I was asked to make. It consists of 6 island pieces. All of them are different. I was asked to make this set for a 4x4 gaming table of a game of MacLeod or for Warhammer 40k. All kills should have been absolutely different from each other, and that's what I went for. Now, as you can see here, there's a lot of open area on the table, but it's very easy to close down with the extra leaves that I made. I made 9 of them, so you can spread them around across the table, and that's how you make more possible terrain and even line of sight blocking terrain. Now let's look at each piece individually, and for that, for the size comparison, we're going to use this one single only Space Marine model. As you can see, this is the biggest piece. It's very wide, and if you're going to look at the eyesight, Space Marines is very tall as well. So if you're going to look at the length of it, it's 13 inches, and the size of it, it's 10 inches. But if you're going to use this measuring tape to see how tall it is, it's going to be 5 inches. Also, a very good feature on this piece for 40k that it can be used as a line of sight blocking piece as well, because on the back you have this stone area that is blocking line of sight pretty well. And if you're going to use one of the 9 or several of the 9 plants that I assembled, you can stack them up on top of this building, or top of this hill, and you have even taller line of sight blocking. On all of the pieces, but this is the best piece to showcase that, I used different flocking materials. I used actual moss. I used these different, as I said, flocking materials. You have sponges, you have foam, you have static grass, you have junk grass, and you have flowers. I decided to go for white flowers on every single piece, just to bring the colors out. And then again, I also used tea, and on some pieces you can find sprinkling of tea parts, which is yellow, and that brings a lot of jungle flavor to the terrain piece set. Also, to achieve this mossy effect, I used a special Russian manufactured paint that, if you're going to mix it up very generously with water, it's going to give this wash effect, but not very glossy, so very matte finish, and this gives this kind of moss effect. I don't think that you'll be able to see it on camera very well, but there it is. And near all the plants where they're growing from the soil, I added more moss and more tea to resemble the dried out leaves that fallen from these plants and now are used as new soil for new growing plants. Now here we have the next piece. It's smaller, but it definitely doesn't lack in character. As you can see, it's 10 inches wide and 9 inches long, and if you're going to see the size, it's going to be 3 inches tall. Here I use the same flocking method, and I think on this part it will be better visible the Russian paints that we talked about with the moss. This right here. So everything is the same. And for the rocks, I use different kinds of paints. I use a lot of greens, oranges, sand colors, grays, and bone colors to achieve this natural rock color effect. Now the third piece is the smallest one. It's a small island. The length is 8 inches, 6 inches. Now here we have the next piece. It's also only 2 inches tall, as the last piece is 9 inches. It's also 9 inches. Now the next piece is also small, but it's very tall, and you have a lot of impossible areas right here where the models will actually just fall down. But then once again, it's very good for line of sight blocking if you want to, because this part right here is very usable for that. And again, if you want to make the line of sight even taller, just put some plants here and we're ready to go. So this piece is 8 inches wide and 8 inches long, and it's 4 inches tall. And last but definitely not least, my personal favorite piece is this one. It's the second biggest one from the set, and I think it's the second tallest one. A lot of rocky areas on this one, and a little bit of a cliff down here. With this piece we're looking at 10 inches long, 9 inches wide, and it's 4 inches tall. As you can see, this terrain set is very modular and very playable. You can set it up however you want. The separate trees can be used as line of sight blocking or as impossible terrain on the table. They're very modular on their own, and they add a lot of life to this terrain set.